Today on Wild Florida, forget all those other soil amendments and focus on compost. Hi, I'm Jacqueline, the Wild Floridian, and welcome to week 13 of the Growing Food is Easy challenge. The challenge where we save money, we go local, and we save the world one piece of food at a time. If this is your first time joining us and you want to start from the beginning so you can hear all the tips and topics that we've gone and done throughout the whole journey, you can go ahead and click on this card right here, or you can wait till the end and there'll be a playlist in one of these corners. All right, so let's get going. Let's talk compost. So if you remember a couple weeks ago, we covered the 4 different types of soil amendments. They were structural, pH, mineral, and our organic microbial types of amendments. And in each type, when I was naming different things that you could do to amend your soil in the type of category, well, you remember compost was identified in all 4 categories. So that means, logically, we should take a deeper dive into compost. And we should talk a little bit about what exactly is compost, how do you make compost, how do you use compost, and overall, what are the benefits of compost? So we're going to dive into that today. So let's first talk about why you should compost. So why you should compost. Let's start back with the 4 types of soil amendments. So structurally, so if you remember, structure was a lot about air and water. So how does compost help with structural? So what it can do is it can add moisture to your ground. Well, not literally it adds moisture, because what it does is, because it's organic material, it can absorb a lot of water and therefore allow the right amount of circulation around your plants. So that's the structural component. The second part was the pH, right? So whether you had too acidic or too alkaline, by having compost, you can bring yourself into that 5.5 to 7.5 range. Third part, which one was that? Minerals. Oh, well, because compost is made from so many different materials, it always brings in minerals into your soil. So, hey, check off on that one. And one of the biggest and most important reasons that you should definitely be using compost is for that type number 4, that organic microbial life that it brings into your yard. So, why should you compost? Well, you get all the soil amendments that you probably need. The one area is, I would say, with structural, if your area is holding too much water, compost isn't going to help that. It can help a little bit by absorbing more water, but if you have a pool of water this deep, no, you're going to have to do some more stuff to drain it. But generally speaking, as kind of the end-all, be-all, fix-all, compost can hit a lot of the things that you need to do to your soil. Now, what it also helps you do is, because you're hitting that mineral, pH, and you're hitting that organic microbial material, that means that you're going to need less fertilizer, or you may not need fertilizer at all. When you're in the beginning stages, I would say that you probably are going to have a little bit of combination of fertilizer and compost, but as you build up compost over time, you shouldn't need any fertilizer. So that should be a cost reduction too. And we grow food so we can save money, and if we don't have to pay for this, then we've saved more money. Yes. All right, the next thing is eliminate the need for pesticides. So as your plants get more and more organic material, it's hitting all those different type of soil amendments, it's getting that nutrition it needs, right? Because what we talked about with pH, right? It's about that chemical reaction that's happening inside. So you're getting that optimal pH for your plant. You're getting the right minerals in for that plant. That plant is healthier. And when a plant is healthier, just like you and me, it can prevent it from getting diseases and attacked as easily by pests. So, hey, another win is that you will need less pesticides or no pesticides because you now have healthier plants. So if I don't have to buy pesticides and I don't have to buy fertilizers, am I saving money now? And I'm growing food. Cool. Saving money on a lot of fronts. Yay! And another reason why you want to compost is that when they look at homes across America, when you break out what goes into your garbage, a third of it is trash, a third of it is usually recyclable, and a third of it is compostable. That's right. The answer is in your trash can right now. You could be composting what's in there. So we should get into our next question, which is, what is compost? So what is compost? Okay, so compost, just at its most basic level, is just decomposing organic material. So it is a naturally occurring phenomenon, is where plants are shedding and animals are pooping, and okay, do we really want to go there? Okay, but that's literally what it is. It's decomposing, it's rotting, It is, what other word did I write down? It's just breaking down. It's having a breakdown. So it is the yin to the yang, or wait, no, it's the yang to the yin. Where you're creating life, you have to have the opposing force of something decomposing. And that is allowing for nutrients that have been taken out of the earth to be put back into the earth. And I know that sounds very hippy-dippy, but it is a natural cycle. If you've ever learned anything about permaculture, which we can take a deeper dive into at another time, but really it's about this cycle of thing is alive, it takes minerals and nutrients out of the ground, it dies, and then it puts stuff back into the ground. And it goes over and over and over again. And it should be a self-fulfilling cycle over and over again. So what we're trying to do through composting is put stuff back into the ground that's already been taken out. It might not be literally from our location, but generally when we look at the entirety of the earth, that's what's happening. Yay, mother. So now let's break it down even further. So you get high level that we're talking about, it's decomposing material, but if you're going to make it, you need to know a bit more before we get into the how. What it is a combination of brown, green, and water. Which you know exactly what that means, of course, right? So first is brown material. Brown material is what we would call carbon-rich material. And if we wanted, we can get into some math ratios about like 50-1 or 15-1, but I'm not going to. But just generally when we talk about browns, that means things like, think woody material, right? Like the trunk of a tree, but think branches, think dried leaves, think about, especially because we're in Florida, think about palm fronds, think about paper. Those would all be considered brown material, high carbon use materials. Then you have what are called green materials. Green materials are things that are higher in nitrogen and lower in carbon. So think about food scraps in general. When we look at like vegetables and fruits would be considered green material. This could also be yard waste that isn't what we would consider woody. So think about like when you're trimming and pruning and thinning your tomato plants, those would be all green materials. And then last, water. It's water. I mean, just like literally water. It's not complicated. So how do you make compost? All right, well, the simple answer is you want 4 parts brown to 1 part green, and you want the water in there so much so that it makes it damp but not soggy, but you don't want it to get dry. Good, you got that? All right, cool, we'll move on. No? Okay, let's take it a different way. All right, so there are a lot of different ways to do composting. So let's start out with some of the more traditional, and then we'll jump into the non-traditional, and then we're gonna go on a magical mystery tour of composting right now. Sound good? So let's start with someone with an average sized yard. This would be something that I would say is less than a 1/4 acre. So typically the best way that you can do composting is, yes, you mix those browns with greens and have it be damp but not soggy and not totally dried out. And you're gonna probably wanna do something like using something like a composting bin, whether it's a tumbler or one of the things that you can put stationary in your yard. Those would be some of the best ways to do it because they don't take up too much space and they're contained, and because you're pretty close to neighbors, if you don't get your ratios quite right and it smells a little bit, then they're not getting too bothered by it. That sound good? So that's one of the ways. If you're have an apartment, you're basically may be able to fit like something like the tumbler on a balcony. They are pretty sizable. They tend to be about 5 feet wide and about 3 to 4 feet deep. So if you have a decent sized one, you could do that. You could be doing something in like a very small bin, but you're probably not going to be able to move all of your waste out of your apartment into that. Some amount of your food waste and stuff that you would want to compost is probably going to get thrown out, but hey, something is better than nothing. So those are one. And then there's what you would usually see if you go and look online in YouTube, which is usually people talk about the 3 pallet system, which is you use pallets to make 3 separate grids, and you basically build the compost in one section and then you rotate it over and then you rotate it over the months, and then once it basically is in the 3rd bin, it's all the way broken down. Now that takes up a lot of space. A pallet is usually about 4 feet wide, I would say typically, so you're looking at about 12 feet by 4 feet that you're going to be using, which is a lot of space. So this I would recommend for people who have basically like a 1/2 acre or more of a yard, because otherwise you're using what little land you have in an average yard for this. It can attract rodents, especially the pallet system, if you don't have your ratios right. And what they'll always recommend is that if you're doing this type of method where you're basically what they call cooking your compost, which is trying to allow it to heat up to break down any bad bacteria, and really get the heat going and allow chemical reactions to create that decomposition. They're going to talk to you a lot about you know, using your brown and green materials and using your brown and green, heat up, break down, usually takes somewhere around 3 months from start to finish. Depends on also the weather and the temperatures, and there's, you can go in a hole, you can go above land. There's just a lot of variations of this type, but what they're gonna usually recommend is no fats, no proteins, which means no milk products, no meat products, because these tend to be the things that attract pests. Now we can throw that out the window because you're like, but I wanted to use the meats, I wanted to use the milk, and I maybe want to be a little bit more adventurous. I want to do something that maybe works a little faster. And that has to do with things like vermicomposting. So vermicomposting, again, when you usually look this up, what you're going to tend to find is people talking about worms. So people get things like the Rubbermaid bins, the ones that are about, let's say, what is that, 3 feet wide by maybe 1.5 feet wide. And they create a system where they're putting their green material in with the worms, and they maybe have a little bit of brown material, and there are some very specific ratios that, again, that you want to follow to allow the optimal amount for your earthworms. And this you can actually keep inside, because if you're keeping your ratios right, then you shouldn't get any fruit flies, and you shouldn't get any stink, because it can smell really bad. I know, I've definitely made mine smell really bad. So that is an option. I would definitely say if you're starting out, I would not start in my house. I think in my second and third attempts, I did some stuff in the house when we got lots of fruit flies during that time period. So I would start outside absolutely if you can. So vermicomposting is one way you can do it, and then with the earthworms. And then usually people talk about ordering earthworms, or maybe sometimes you can dig them up, and they talk about the red worms. You can do that. Me, because you know I like free, I didn't dig up my earthworms. I didn't want to bother them. They're doing their job. So I let someone else help me out. Someone that people usually don't like to talk about, and that is maggots. Yes, my friendly maggots. They're usually black soldier fly maggots, and they're flying around in the world, and they landed in my compost, and they made lots of babies, and those babies are eating my compost. And what is great about maggots is that they can take 100 pounds of compost and reduce it down to 10 pounds. They are hard workers. And once they really get going, you can throw proteins in, you can throw milk in. I definitely have put all those in, and they will take that smell down really quickly. So another way, so if you're feeling like, oh, the ratios, I don't know about that, and oh my goodness, I'm not so keen on having the worms and the maggots. Well, hey, have you ever thought about, if you got a little bit of space, chickens or quail? That's another way, is if you have livestock, you can go ahead and use those. By feeding them your green materials, they will eat them up and poop it out. Really, all vermicomposting and livestock composting all has to do with poop. So you gotta be good with poop, really good with poop. So that's another way, is that you can have the brown materials such as mulch or sawdust on the ground with like things like chicken. They eat things like lettuce or whatever came out of your kitchen, and then they poop it out, and it's mixed in with the brown material, and you scoop that up and you put it out in your garden. So that's another way. Okay, so now you're like, okay, the ratios, Jacqueline, I'm not sure. And the poop, I'm not sure. I want to start a little more basic. I'm not quite ready for all that. Well, and there's other types of method, and yes, I've tried these, is that you can do trenching. So you may be able to do like I did this at one point, is I just took like a 5-gallon bucket from Home Depot, and I just threw stuff in it, and it rotted down, and it got really nasty. And what I then did is when I was early in my gardening journey, and I just had a lot of weeds that I needed to pull up, so I was stripping the ground pretty bare, is I dug trenches, and I dumped the 5-gallon buckets in there, and then I covered back up. So that as eventually earthworms started to move into the area, they basically ate that, and all of that is now gone. You can also dig holes. A lot of people who like to go fishing, this is great use of those extra fish heads and bones, is you dig a hole and you put it in your, like a fruit tree, and it's a great way for the tree to reabsorb all the nutrients. So if you want to start smaller and not go all in, these are some ways that, especially if you're starting, you can do it without too much work and get some nutrients in there. What else? Are there other ways? Yeah, probably. I'm probably missing some, and I've probably tried a bunch of them already. So, but here's what the thing is that you can see there are a lot of right ways to do composting. And so just pick what's best for you and try one out. If it's not going well, switch it up. Because if you can see, a lot of these don't take a ton of investment. Now, yes, if you're gonna go buy chickens or pigs or something like that, that is a huge investment. But when it comes to just buying a bin or digging some holes. All those things are relatively easy. And go for it. Go use the maggot method. I'm all for it. So pick what's good for you. All right, so what do you do? So now you've got this compost, this magical miracle soil amendment. Now what are you supposed to do with it? So it's broken down, it shouldn't stink, it should generally look like soil, but even if it doesn't get all the way there, I know a lot of people will tell you it has to be all the way looking like dirt. It doesn't have to be. I've definitely used only partially broken down compost because my bin got full and I was like, I need more space and I don't want to throw this stuff in the trash. So I dumped it out and it smelled bad for about 4 days. It depended on the weather. If I did it during the winter time, if it was really cold, then it didn't smell very bad. If it was during the summertime, it wasn't very bad for very long because then it rained and then that pushed the smell down. If it was in the hot but not rainy season, well, you know, my neighbors must really like me because it smelled bad for about 5 days. Yeah, so you can do that. So don't think that it's a total waste if it hasn't gotten to that dirt-like look. Okay. But what do you want to do with it? So what you want to do is put it around the plant. So especially things like your trees, your fruiting trees, this is great. And even things like if you've used things like meat and waste and you're worried about bacteria being transferred to your food, what you want to do is use things more like the trees where the fruit and food are off the ground. Would be where I would start if you don't have a fully decomposed, you know, compost. If it's totally broken down, generally what you want to do is do 1 to 2 inches layer across your garden and vegetable beds. That's what you want to do. And if you can do it 2 times a year, that's great. What else do I want to tell you? What am I missing? So if you can do that 1 to 2 inch layer 2 times a year, I mean, high five, good job. You are probably doing enough that long term you are building like the gold, what do we call it? Black gold in the ground. You're doing it. So that would be where I would start. And typically you're not going to produce enough to do your whole yard or all your garden beds at once. So basically what I do is every time I have a batch ready is I do a layer, I do a section at a time and I just kind of keep track of where they're at. So what do I do and what have I been typically doing with my compost is I use the maggot method. So I think it's great. It's pretty easy to do and I'm able to keep up with that with doing these videos and working, commuting, playing with my kids, taking care of the house, all that kind of stuff, right? Saying hi to my husband from once in a while. Hi, Ben. So all that, I typically do that. And I use, just to give you like the briefest version, I use a plastic shoe bin that's like made, like a Rubbermaid one. It sits in our fridge. Ben, as he cooks, he just throws stuff in there. Usually that gets full for about like 1 time every week. That gets thrown out into, there's a 32-gallon trash can on the side of the house. And at the time, that basically is my one. And then I dump about the 4 parts, either, well, my in-laws have been doing like shredding a paper, or I buy sawdust, not sawdust, like basically what you put in like hamster cages, but it's made from wood. So I do like that small chip material too, because usually you can get a huge batch for like 25 bucks. Or when I get mulch, I'll mix that in. All sorts of different ways I've done it. So if you really want to learn a lot more about exactly how I do it and watch me do it and even get to see some of my maggot friends, you can look away when I do that part. You can go ahead and click on this card right here. I have a video called Lazy Composting, Saving the World 1 Piece of Trash at a Time. I think that's what I called it. So click on that right there if you want to see the long version, and I will show you step by step what I did. Okay, so we've talked about putting that 2 inches of compost in, but we need to block it because the weeds, they're coming in. They're in for the kill. They want to get all those nutrients that we've just put in place for all of our great food. So naturally, the thing we've got to talk about next week is mulch. And if you want to make sure you don't miss it, go ahead and like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notification. New videos each week, and next week's will be mulch. So if you're in for the challenge or just going along for the journey, remember, tell others, growing food is easy. I'm Jacqueline, and I'll see you next week. Bye.